Alright folks, today we are going to be repairing this beautiful iPhone 5 smashed to pieces, and we are going to be doing this the poor man's way, as cheap as possible. So hopefully you've ordered your glass by now. You have two options: repair the glass or just buy the whole entire digitizer, including the glass and everything, minus the home button, repair it that way. Anywhere from upwards of high 70s to high 80s on eBay or Amazon. But we're going to go ahead and do it the poor man's way. So this will be a step-by-step process. Follow me along. If I mess up, don't do what I did. If I succeed, then do that as well. So let's begin. And my repair kit came with the glass and the little tools here. That's it. I'm probably going to need some other items, but we'll get to that later on in the video. But let's go ahead and get the screwdriver out to remove these ones right here, and it's kind of a star shape, so let's grab that. Alright, kind of hard to see, but it's not a Phillips. Okay, this is a star tool. That's the only one that's going to be able to pry off this right here. So let's go ahead and remove those two screws. Alright, both screws are out. Two again that were right here on the bottom. Now, this also came in my little tool kit that came with the glass. Grab this, and we are going to cup that on right here, and we're going to go ahead and pull up from the bottom. For some reason, if you're really cut, my suction cup might not stick because of the glass. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put clear adhesive tape over it, like packaging tape, and then that will be able to get a good suction on it. So that's what I'm probably going to have to do. Packaging tape looks like this right here, just clear tape. Let's rip off a strand and let's lay it over the front so we can get a good suction on it. And again, we're just going to lay the tape right over the screen, and try not to cover up the home button, but just lay it right on the top there. There we go. Just so that we can get our suction cup on and gain some traction there. There we go. Alright guys, what we're going to do is we're going to grab it from down here and we're going to pull up. And what it's going to do is it's going to come up here from the bottom and it's going to rise up here. So let's go ahead and do that now, and now we have some suction on the thing. Alright guys, so I attempted it about 20 times off camera, and the way they lay the 5 in there is so much different than the 3G or 3GS. It's very tightly knitted in there. So I started off my suction cup about right in the middle here, pulled it up, and what I then did is I was able to slowly get the right edge here up a little bit. And then what I did is I removed my suction cup. I put it more towards the corner here, not putting it over the home button because it's going to release the suction, but right here in the corner. And then I was able to pull up, and then I was able to jimmy rig my little pry tool that came with my kit right underneath the right side. So once you get this far, then you're good. Then all you have to do is carefully slide this across here without damaging anything, lifting up gently. Just be careful. Alright guys, and with this toolkit they also give you these like guitar picks and stuff like that. So that's an easy way to go ahead and put it just a little bit inside because we don't know exactly what's in there quite yet. And what we're going to do here is then, as you can see, my pry tool, the lip is right there. So we're just going to work our way over. Excuse my hand getting in the way, but just pry it up a little bit. You can even scoot your guitar pick in there a little bit, and then work your little pry tool over here to this side. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and just pull up lightly. Okay, and now that we're this far, before we go any further, you don't want to damage your home button because you want to, obviously this is the poor man's route. So what we want to do now is we want to work our way around. Probably the easiest thing to do is use this guitar pick here. So we don't want to crack, because our cracked screen goes all the way down the home button. If we're not careful, we're just going to rip this whole bottom section off and rip it in half there. So we're trying to get this whole entire one piece up in one motion here. So we want to come up here. There we go there. And again, be very careful. You don't want to, obviously, so just slide literally the tip of your guitar pick Sorry the camera work here, but slide just your guitar pick all the way around. See how it's coming up there? There we go. And then that way we're going to raise the whole entire thing. Now we go to the other side and we do the same thing. We just stick the end of the guitar pick in there, and again that guitar pick comes with your thing, and just carefully slide with pressing up just a little bit. So you just kind of tilt the guitar pick up and it pops up like that. Alright guys, now that we're this far, you can hold down the edge with your fingernail here and carefully just put your fingers around the side here and lift up very gently. Now on the bottom you have no wiring. All your wiring is up here at the top, up down that direction. So let's get some more light in there. Let's show you what wires to go ahead and pry up. Okay, and you can lift it up about 90 degrees without affecting any of the wires back here. I'm going to go ahead and remove these 2 screws here, 1 and 2 right here, so I can disconnect the battery, so just in case there's any shorting going on in there. So just unscrew again. There's 3 screws right there, but just unscrew the middle one. And it definitely helps when you have a magnetic screwdriver tip end. Okay, with the screws removed now, right over here, 1, 2, pop that up a little bit right there and there. And it's just kind of hugged in there a little bit. There we go, see? And now you just grab it with your fingers, And right here is it's black, completely black. And that is your prong for your battery. So let's go ahead and gently, and notice which way the ribbon is going. And forgive my hand, but I'm going to come at it like this, and I'm going to pop it up. There we go, real simple. Just popped up there. You get it from the outer side and pull back, and it's real easy. There we go, see that? I know it's a little hard to see, guys, but it's just this little itty bitty ribbon. So now your battery is disconnected. Alright guys, I turned on the light here, and let me show you. That's a little bit better picture there with the light on. So again, just prop it up like that. You're good to go. Now what we need to do is we need to remove this little shield here. There's 3 screws, 1 at the top, 1 down here, and then 1 over here. 1, 2, 3. This shield right here. That's up in the top right hand corner. Right there, 1, 2, 3. Shield comes up right to left, right to left. Comes up right here, just like that. Okay, next thing we look at is we look at the ribbons here. Again, the little padding on top, those are your ribbons. And so again, it's the outside, prop it up. So this big one here lays over all of them, right? So that one you want to get first. And again, be very careful when you're doing this. We're going to get our little pry tool, and we're just going to pry it up gently. Get all the way to the bottom, not prying up the pad, but the little clip there. See? Just come on the little edge, pry it up. There's the one, okay? Now you see the next one below it here, laying right below it. That one, notice how the ribbon goes. It goes straight down. So that's how you know which way to pry it. So you get the little edge. I go over here to the right-hand side, get the little edge. And you also want to be very gentle with this one. And then just prop it up like that. And there we go. Okay, so now that one is up. You have one more really deep in there on the very, very bottom. On the very, very bottom, you're going to have one more. A little tough to see. Let me see. There you go. Right there. Right there. Okay, again, grabbing it from the little corner there. Again, being very careful. There's a lot of little sensors and all sorts of little stuff in there. And you want to pop it up. I like to go from the right. There we go. So now you can see the coil. So we have one deep. We have this one and this one. Again, right is first. This one right here on the bottom is second. The one deep back is third. Now we have all ribbons out. As you can see right there, 1, 2, 3. So now we're completely freed up. Our glass is removed, bottom right there, of course. And so, be very careful with this not to get any dust or any debris in it, and put that out of the way. Okay, now here at the top, we're going to go ahead and remove the ear speaker here. There is one screw and two screws right there. So let's go ahead and remove those. And they're different sizes. The bottom one is the short one. The top one is the larger screw. So what I like to do is I just like to lay out the parts like this on my piece of paper. And so I know that the bottom one's the short one, the tall one's the top one. The other screws that I pulled out are all the same size, so that doesn't really matter. Okay, now being very gently, you can grab your tweezers if you want, but again, this is kind of a two-piece. You have the little top silver thing. And be very careful of this. As you'll notice on the bottom of this, there are two itty-bitty gold springs that go right onto those gold connections on top. Again, be very careful with that. You might want to place that upside down so the gold springs are facing upwards so that you don't risk damaging those springs. Again, those springs go right on there. That is your earpiece there. Alrighty guys, so now that we have our earpiece removed here, we are looking at our microphone ribbon and front-facing camera ribbon up here at the top. Now there might be a little adhesive right here on top of this white thing here, but you slowly lift that up to left to right, and you're going to see your front-facing camera right there, your little itty-bitty microphone right there, and there's little holes and slots for all that, so memorize where those things go in. Now, the other end of the ribbon right over here where my fingernail is, right underneath your left-hand side gold little tab there for the earphone piece, we have to go ahead and blast that with a hair dryer. So borrow your mom's, sister's, girlfriend, whatever hair dryer, and blast it away. Now, watch out for this. These little screws are going to go all over the place, so do not blast the hair dryer on these little screws. They're going to scatter everywhere. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and tilt the camera the other way, and we're going to go ahead and blast that for about 7 seconds on low setting. Real simple. Your mom or sister has one of these. Put it on low, the top one here. Put that on, give it about 3 seconds to warm up. Test it with your hand. It's not warm quite yet. There we go, now it's getting warm. Okay, so now that it's warm, you just want to loosen up that adhesive. So just point it for about 7 seconds right on the end of that ribbon right there. Alright, that should do it. So now, let's go ahead and come back over here and gently remove that ribbon. The reason why we blasted it is that we don't want to tear any ribbons at all. So again, it comes up real nicely there. Again, being very gentle. Okay, there we go. It just pops right off. Again, not tearing anything. And the adhesive is still there on the microphone thing, so you can just go ahead and lock that back into position. So again, there is our front-facing camera and our microphone right there. Our microphone is right there on the bottom. Front-facing camera is in the dark, right, this little square thing right here where my tweezers are. So next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and remove these two screws down here by the home button. One screw here, one screw here, Phillips. So let's go ahead and remove that. Then we're going to blast it again on low settings to remove our home button adhesive underneath these gold tabs here. Right on top of it. And removing it quickly before, of course, it cools down, because when it's warm, it's a lot easier. Okay, again, lifting it up, grabbing by your tweezers so we don't tear it, and then carefully, there we go, very gently guys, very gently, and that's out of the way now. Okay, beautiful. So again, very gently on that one guys, or you're going to have to replace your home button sensor there. And again, that on the bottom has the adhesive right there. So remember where that goes right there. You can see a little outline of where that goes. So this is your home button, of course, where the home button hits this. Let's go ahead and put that out of the way, and we're going to actually put that up near our home button bolts right up here. So we know that goes there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip it over. And if your tape is getting in the way there, just go ahead and pull it back just a little bit. And what we're going to do now is we're going to very carefully push down, just right on top. Again, being very careful because these things are fragile. And or you can come from the bottom up here and a little bit of adhesive on there as well, guys. And just being gently, and because there's a little bit of kind of this plastic-ish thing there. Okay, being gentle still. There we go. And prying that up without ripping that, kind of this rubberized, there's like a very, very fine rubberized, probably that's part of the adhesive, but just be careful. And that's what it should look like after it's completely done. The black part is like this rubberized little adhesive thing. Alrighty, fantastic. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the heat shield. You have a couple screws here. You have one down here at the bottom, and you have one over here on the side, and then the top here for a total of 6. And guys, the one here at the bottom is a larger head than the ones on the side, so keep this one separate from the other ones. Know exactly which one it is. So again, line it up. Put that one on the bottom, these ones on the side. The side ones are the same size. These ones are all the same size right here, but again, the one on the bottom has a different size head to it. We need to go ahead and remove this one right here, right where my screwdriver head is, right there. Now we can go ahead and release it. So what I like to do is you can use your little pry tool down here at the bottom. It comes up like that. And we're going to go ahead and just use our pry tools. And then that again completely releases like this. If you're wondering what that little watermark is right there, that is a watermark. So what Apple does is they'll actually have to dig in there, and if that is red, that means you have water damage. So that removes just like that, guys. Looks like that on the back side, being very careful not to get dust and debris. Now we're left with this. Now what you see is what you would buy on eBay or Amazon. Exactly like this. This is exactly how it comes. Check the prices, and this is what you get. Okay, like we just talked about, guys, we come to this section right here. Okay, now this is a 3-piece section. You think it's 2-piece, but it's actually 3-piece. So we have our front glass. But if you just repair the glass, like I've seen other videos where they literally they take apart the plastic right off here, the bezel. That is the white bezel. You don't want to ruin that because it looks terrible back in the phone if you ruin your bezel. Yeah, a new one on eBay is only about $3, but just try to save it. Again, this is the poor man's way of doing it. Again, we're going to be on the low setting, and we're just going to go around the border, and we're going to heat it up. Careful of your electronics on top there in this section right where my thumb is. Just free up the edges, and it'll go. Don't worry. So let's start with my right-hand side, your left-hand side. We're just going to come down the edge here. On the bottom now, towards the home button, up the side, and just for a few seconds on the top there. On low setting, it's not going to affect your electronics. Don't worry about it, but we're going to just try to play it as safe as possible. And then I'm going to remove these glass pieces bit by bit. It's going to take a little longer, but again, this is the poor man's fix. All right, a little bit of more heat. Just carefully prying it, guys. This is going to be pretty tedious work, so I'm not going to film this all, but just taking off chunk by chunk, very slowly and carefully, not damaging the LCD, of course. Once I get to a proper edge, and again, guys, watch your eyes. You don't want to pop a little shard of glass in your eyes, so might want to wear some safety goggles. That's up to you if you guys want to or not, but I would probably recommend it. And so I'm just going to heat this up, and I'll film a little bit as I go on, but I'll just work my way up. Okay, guys, just apply some heat. Keep going. Trying not to damage the bezel. We want to keep the bezel in shape. So just be careful and just take your time. Work your way down with your little tools that have come in your kit. This is the only thing that we've purchased is our little screen tool kit, you know. And again, watch your eyes, but just work your little tool kit in there and slowly just pry up. When it gets hard, come back with more heat. Again, watching the bezel down here at the bottom, you don't want to tear that side rail right there. Alright guys, we got the lower part of the bezel done, except for just the right side right here. But the bezel is intact, it's looking good, no cracks in it yet, so we're saving the bezel. So again, very tedious process, but that is an iPhone 5 fix. Once you get up into the LCD area, guys, it's a lot easier. That's why no one shows you how to take it apart from the bezel. Down here is the hardest part down here because there's this other type of adhesive stickiness right here along the edges where my fingernail is. But here, all it is the transparent glue. Check that out. Boom. Right there. And right here as well. Alright guys, so we're about maybe a third of the way done. And again, right here, the old glue actually creates a barrier and it just slides right up here. And I'll show you how to remove that after this next step. Alright guys, we're still trekking along here. We've come up pretty far. As you can see, we're right here on this side. We're all the way up here on this side. All this is the old glue, which we're going to have to clean off. But as you work your way up, balance it because it's going to start separating from the bezel. And once it's separated from the bezel, that's a good way to line it up because we're not going to use a mold. We're going to use kind of a Jimmy rig mold. Again, we're going to be saving some money, so this is a fantastic, smart way to do it. And guys, to save heat on my LCD, the only heat I applied was right here in the corners. Once I got up to this point right here, the glue it peels literally right up. So what you've seen so far up to right here, again, I just work my way underneath like that. And I'm just pulling up these shards of glass like this. It's tedious, but I don't have to put heat right on the LCD. Alright guys, so now I'm all the way to the top here, and be very careful when you get all the way to the white part here, okay? Because if you're not careful, you're going to bend the bezel and you're going to crack it, and we're also going to try to save the bezel here. So I pulled up the last piece right over here in the corner, and guess what happens? The whole entire LCD removes now from the bezel. And sorry, a little sticky there. Let me get that glue off my fingers. So here is our bezel. Our bezel is repairable. This is fantastic. So now we don't have to buy a new bezel. But we still have the glass up here still. So we still have to work that off, and we'll get a heat gun on that, and we'll finish that up to make it look like this down here. Now, what we're going to do also after that is we're going to clean the LCD, and we're going to plug the LCD in to make sure that we didn't crack it and make sure it's still good. If the LCD is not good, then of course then you're kind of over it and you buy a new LCD and you put it all back together. Alright guys, so let me show you just a couple things real quick. This is the bottom where the home button was, and this is the top. Once we got up here, we've removed all the glass from it. So this is a reusable white bezel. Very good. Again, if you want to save the cash. If you don't want to, just pluck this thing apart. But there are some pieces that we need off of this. And of course, as you can see here on the new glass, this is the black back, and then of course the white here. But right up here, so there's the front-facing camera right there, that little hole here. Let me show you exactly on this one here. So this one right here, that little hole I'm pointing to right there, there's a little black plastic piece there that has to go on the back of the new glass. And then also next to it, you're going to have this little itty-bitty piece of plastic here. That goes to the right of it. So take those off, reuse them for the new glass. Alrighty, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to go around and we're going to examine any little pieces of glass that still might be remaining. And you can use a little bit more heat and get them up. And then as you're going to be looking around, you're going to see a little bit of that old 3M kind of adhesive tape in the very, very corners over here. Here, I'm not going to remove all of it. I'm just going to remove the extra pieces of glass, or if there's bunched up 3M tape there, I'll go ahead and get rid of that because I don't want the glass raised above the bezel. I want it nice and tight, just like it is when you buy it factory. But again, a little bit of that adhesive is going to connect well in the corners over here. Because what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to do this without using glue. And again, that's going to be a test of the tail to see if it works or not. Alright, so at this point, you can plug these cables back in. Still works, but I'm going to go ahead and do that after I go ahead and clean the screen. So before you clean the screen, that might be some extra time out of your day. But go ahead and plug it back in, see if it works. But I want to actually clean the screen, then plug it back in. So let's grab our cleaning solution. Let me show you what that is. Okay, so we have two different options here. We have the Q-tip and we have some cotton balls here. We're going to give it a shot, see if it works. If not, we'll get an old cotton shirt, soft cotton shirt, and do it. But we're going to be using the solution. It's going to be, I just picked this up at CVS Pharmacy, 91% alcohol. And the reason I'm using this is because I did a lot of research when I was cleaning a motherboard or computer, and that high a concentration of alcohol, again, not your 70-something%, we're talking 91%. And this only cost about maybe $5, something like that, maybe less than that. Alrighty guys, and as I'm just kind of experimenting with this, the cotton balls seem to be doing the best. So the best thing to do is just not soak it, but get it nice and damp so there's enough liquid on there, obviously. And you're going to get some cotton ball foliage on there, but again, you just kind of start working it. And to be honest with you, you got to be not completely like really aggressive, but you got to start jamming at it pretty good in order to get that adhesive off there. And as long as you are careful not to, completely get too crazy with it, but I'm putting some pretty good pressure in there with that cotton ball. And again, examine your LCD to make sure that there's no shards of glass remaining that could potentially scratch the top of the LCD. And so I'm about a third of the way there, and I'm going to go ahead and just continue on. Switch cotton balls every once in a while to get a fresh cotton ball, just in case it's picked up some shards of glass. Alright guys, and again, we're not going to do this with glue, because by the time you buy the glue, I mean, we're talking now, we're up to like 20 bucks for glue, adhesive glue. Tell me about it. Unless you're going to be repairing a bunch of these. I'm going to be repairing one, so I'm trying to do it as cheap as possible, because by the time all these tools add up, you might as well have bought the whole entire LCD and glass already put together. So I have here a little piece of leftover speaker wire concealer that I got at IKEA, right? And guess what's on the back? A beautiful, nice piece of double-sided heavy stick tape, right? Well, I'm just going to peel back what I need, cut off the bad end, and I'm going to go ahead and lay that down right here and right over here, a little piece, cutting it in little sections in here as well. Then I'm going to be placing my glass right into the old bezel. Using my tweezers, I'm just going to lay it right on the flat portion right here, and we're going to have to snip off the end. And again, guys, it's double-sided, so be careful not to mash it. And you want it to lay completely flat. You don't want to get a wrinkled edge on there, because that's going to affect the way the glass sits down. So just sprinkle it out real nicely there. And before you mash down this end, we're going to have to cut that extra little smidgen off. Now this section is going to be a little bit tricky, so you got to cut it to proportion. And what you want to do is, after you've cut it to proportion, you want to go ahead and test it for right. And again, be careful, guys, not to wrinkle it. And we want to lay it right in the middle here. Lay it down. Give it a couple taps. Make sure it gets in there nice and flat. and let it not touch the little areas right there, because those are some of your sensors and all that fun stuff. And then if you want, let's go ahead and we'll add just a little bit right here to the edge. And yeah, we'll put a little custom piece on that one as well. Alright guys, in the last custom strip, I've done one here, one between there, one in this very corner here, and one diagonal that way, and then one right over here. And of course, some of that green stuff you see there is part of the old adhesive that's nice and flat. We're going to go ahead and use that as well. And so lastly, I'm just going to lay a little itty bitty one right on the top here. That way, I can have my iPhone up and running by hopefully tonight before I go to the movies. Alright guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to lay our glass in now that we have all our adhesive strips in there. That's the only adhesive we're going to use there. It'd be a little too technical, but you might be able to put the thinnest strip possible, but I still have some old adhesive on the corners there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to peel off the back right here, and we're going to be careful not to touch that portion. We're going to grab the outer corners here without touching the actual glass portion of it. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and lay it in nice and carefully. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to touch this and this here, like this, without touching the underside of it, because you don't want fingerprints. And I've done this before with my old iPhone 4s and so on and so forth. So what I like to do is I like to start at the top, line it up. You can start at the bottom if you like. Line it up. And then, of course, the adhesive is going to slide a little bit. So it's okay if you don't get it the first time. Now that we're in, let's go ahead and flip it over here. And the bezel is really nice, so it's just going to stick. You're going to turn it around and start tapping it down. But before you tap it down completely, we're going to flip it back over without touching that side again. And we're going to look at it to make sure the bezel is just nice and clean all the way around. Nice and even, and we look very good on that. No complaints. And so what we're going to do here is we're just going to mash down these edges here that aren't completely in there yet. Okay, there we go. So now that is down. That is down. That corner's down. That corner's down. Now flip it again and just look at it. And up here it looks completely flush. Down around here it looks completely flush. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. And so this looks good. Alright guys, now what we're going to do is we are going to put back some of these little pieces here that were on the old glass on the back of it. So again, right here in the corner we had a little piece of plastic there that we'll probably try to jimmy rig in there a little bit. And then again we had this thing here, which is right underneath the front facing camera, so we got to pull that off and we got to put it onto this piece of glass here. Alright guys, I've laid a custom piece of double-sided tape right there, right here, as you can see, and that again is for our little, it's like a mesh, like a small little mesh, and we're going to go ahead and put that right back on the top there. Of course the new glass didn't come with one, unfortunately, but we're going to go ahead and reuse that and put that back. And you can barely see it guys, but for this little plastic piece we're going to go ahead and put that back, and it's just going to tuck up in the corner, and I put a little itty bitty piece of tape there, and we're just going to center it up. Pretty much goes right there, you know, and go ahead and lock that into place. Alright, and call it a day. Let's flip it over. Everything's lined up. Let's go ahead and put that on here, and we're going to go ahead and screw in our bolts here to our bezel. So this all, of course, just lines up right in here like this. Again, we're not using any glue. And then this goes in here like this. And then we're just going to go ahead and screw these bolts in here, and then we're going to plop in our ribbon cables up top. Alright, all little bolts are in here, 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 and here. Now let's move on to the ribbon cable here for the front-facing camera. And again, the camera goes up top there into the little plastic slot, and then the little mic goes in that little hole right below it. Just like that. And then of course, the camera goes right in there like that. And again, pushing back down on our gold prongs here. So we want our gold prongs to be right there. Alright, and this goes right back in right here with 2 bolts here and here. Remember again that your lower one is the shorter one, and that your upper one up here is the longer one. Okay, now that this is on here, don't forget you have to put your little covering over it, like this. I'm going to go ahead and start with the lower one here, and lastly finishing up screws here and here. Again, remember the short one is on the bottom, the longer one is on top. The mic and camera are completely flush. Everything's looking good. Okay, now for the home button here. Remember that we've peeled away and we still have a little bit of that stickiness over there on our home button, so that's always a good thing. So let's go ahead and lay that back down and stick that on in. So it goes right back the way you brought it up, and just get it in there nice and evenly spaced around kind of the direction it was. You might have to peel this up, kind of play with it a little bit. You want that square obviously to be centered up like that. There we go. So now as we come back around, it's a good positioning there. Again, so when you look straight at it, you want the square to be right there like that. Mine is off just a tiny bit, so I'm going to go ahead and mess with that just a little bit. Okay, come from the bottom, push it on up. Get it nice and sticky, sticking back in there, just lightly pressing it like this. Fantastic. Alright. And we're going to put our home button back right over, and right where that adhesive was that you blew dry earlier, go ahead and line up your things first here, and then just lightly tap that. And the adhesive will go ahead and have it stick again. Alright, the home button is in. The adhesive is stuck down there, the bolts are in. So let's go ahead and turn it on over, and let's take a look at our home button. Let's see how that works out for us. Okay, it feels very nice. It feels exactly the same way it used to. That is good. Alright, let's check it back here. It looks good. Okay, so now we're back over here, and what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and plug back in our battery, and we want to lock that into place here. Okay, that is locked in. Now what we want to do here is we want to take our little shield guy again here, and it goes like this, right there like that. And so let's go ahead and screw that on back in. Remember, you got a little itty bitty bolt and then a another bolt there. Alright guys, now remember what we're going to do here is we're going to lay down the first one first, which is this one right here. Alright, first one is in right there. Now let's go ahead and go with the second one. Alright, second one is in. Now let's go with the third one over in the right hand corner over here. Now lastly what you're going to do is you're going to take again your little shield here, and you're just going to go 1, 2, 3, and it goes this way just like this, covering up those ribbons there. And again, remember, it goes from the left and then comes down on them to the right, just like that. Right here on the shield, guys, we have 1, 2, 3 bolts in right here. Now that we have these three in, we're all set. Everything's closed up. Everything's looking good. So now what we're going to do here, we're just going to put that right in the corner there. And we're going to drop it straight down. Again, making sure it's all the way back. The bezel is all the way at the end here. Come around, be gentle with it. And just drop it on in. Just like that, right there. Now what you want to do is you want to come down here. You want to look at your bolt lineups. Okay, my bolts are perfectly lined up right there. So now we grab our other tool here, and we grab those last two bolts, and we put them on in. Okay, with the last bolt tight, we're going to look at our nice phone now. We're going to peel back the plastic there. Go ahead and throw that in the trash, and fire it up. And there we go there, guys. Alrighty guys, and I just want to show you real quickly that it does work just fine without the glue. And so let's go ahead and come on in here. Let's go ahead and access the camera here. Yeah, we'll jump out of that. Let's go to swipe through our apps. Well guys, I hope the video helped you out. If it did, please thumbs the video up so that others may find it and be able to help them out as well. And also, please subscribe and look in the description box below. I'm going to have links where you can get your glass and digitizer and all that fun stuff. So look in the description box below for some good links. And also check out this video right there. That's going to be a hot one. So please check that out. And you guys have yourselves a great day. Take care.